Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving me a listen. If you love the show, drop me a review over in your favorite podcast app or become a patron at patreon.com/oldmanbrad. So this chapter, I'm back in the world of trauma and creatures. I've had a few episodes that deal with traumatic experiences, creatures, and how people deal with them. This week I'll be talking about the new film, The Killgrin, which comes out this Friday in select theaters and on VOD. And I have an interview with the writer-director, Joanna Tsanis, and two of the stars of the movie, Konstantina Mantelos and Adam Tsekhman. It was a fun interview. I can't wait for you to hear it. But before we dive into all things Killgrin, I just want to say, come out to Frightful Fridays on the third Friday of the month. So thankful to be partnered with the Esquire Theater to bring you a horror screening once a month. Our screening for April just finished. We just did a screening of Lucio Fulci's The Beyond. I was so excited to be able to screen this film, and let me tell you, the 4K looked amazing on screen. It looked so good. I cannot wait to get myself the box set of The Beyond that Grindhouse Releasing has. That has the 4K, has a Blu-ray, has the composer's cut, has the original cut DVD. So excited for that. Our screening for May, on May 16th at 10 p.m., come out. We're going to finish off our Carpenter Apocalypse trilogy. We did The Thing. We did In the Mouth of Madness. May 16th, we are going to have Prince of Darkness. So come out, 10 p.m., May 16th, and let's watch a movie together. All right, let's move into The Killgrin.
So what's on your mind, kid?
I think I might be going crazy. I keep hearing the same noise, and then I see this shadow. You've seen it too.
The first time I saw it, I felt a cold chill. It was almost electric. And I saw it staring at me from the doorway.
How do we get rid of it? Someone told me that I have a darkness following me. Do you think that's what it is?
I think that pain is a powerful thing. And maybe one place can only handle so much of it until it starts to leak.
After a personal tragedy, Miranda explores unconventional self-help methods only to learn from her spiritual healer that she has an infection of her aura called a Killgrin, which thrives off her misery. Written and directed by Joanna Tsanis, and this stars Konstantina Mantelos, Adam Tsekhman, Cristo Fernandez, and many others. Like I said, this comes out this Friday, April 25th, in select theaters and on VOD. I'm not going to dive too far on my thoughts on the film yet. I'll talk a little bit more after the interview. I will say overall I enjoyed this. I love the design of the creature, the wrestling with the trauma and everything else, but I'll kind of dig more into that. Spoiler free, of course. So without further ado, let's move into my interview with Joanna, Konstantina, and Adam, and I will talk to you on the other side. My guest today worked through traumatic experiences while also trying to escape a creature that thrives from misery in the new film, The Killgrin, which is out April 25th. I want to welcome in director Joanna Tsanis, as well as the stars from the film, Konstantina Mantelos and Adam Tsekhman. How you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with you, Joanna. How did you come up with the idea for The Killgrin? Because you were writer and director, correct?
Yes. I guess it all started when I was a teenager and I lived in an area in downtown Toronto that had a lot of $10 psychics. And I actually went to a $10 psychic. And after the spiritual healer gave me my reading, she told me that there was something wrong with my aura and I needed to pay a hefty fee to get it cleansed. Which I totally would have done, but I was 16 and did not have the money for that. And that kind of sat in the back of my mind for a while. And then years and years later, during the lockdowns, I was kind of reflecting on the various ways people engage in self-help. And sometimes it is that new age therapy, and sometimes it's more traditional therapy, and sometimes unfortunately, it can be through self-destructive habits. So I ultimately wanted to make a movie about that. And I've always loved creature films. I've always loved the idea of embodying our vulnerabilities through a creature or through a supernatural phenomenon. So that's how the Killgrin came to be.
Konstantina and Adam, how did you kind of get involved with the Killgrin?
Long story short, I guess I met Joanna through another horror film that I had made, or that I'd been in, Anything for Jackson, a few years back. We had gone to a few of the same festivals. She with a short film, and me with this feature, and she had like opened for our film. She was screening during same days, and I just kept being like, "Who is this cool Greek woman making horror movies in Toronto, and why don't I know her?" We connected a little bit. This was like in 2020, so it was all like on Twitter and stuff like that. Before I knew it, we were talking, and I got involved in her short film Smile. And then when she started developing the Killgrin, went out for that, and ultimately got to play Miranda.
So one of the previous jobs I was doing before acting is I was one of those $10 psychics, and Joanna came to see me, and I said to her, I said, "You will experience pain." This was like, I kind of had a cool accent. "You will experience pain in life unless you cast Adam in your movie. And
it worked.
Pay me a hefty fee, and then I will fix it." And she didn't have the money for the fee, so she cast me in the movie.
Perfect.
Without the mustache, I did not recognize him, so it was an easy disguise.
Now, this film, it deals with, traumatic experiences, kind of the toll it takes mentally on people, physically, and everything else. With your characters, and while you were filming it, did you tap into any real life experiences as you were doing this? Because it can be a very heavy movie for sure in pieces.
Do you want for me as well, Brad?
I mean, you gave a little bit as you were writing a little of the backstory of that, but as you were filming it, like setting up scenes, were there any experiences you tapped into to kind of bring that out?
Yeah, definitely. In terms of supporting people with mental health and issues, you learn a lot about the various ways people self-soothe. You learn a lot about how you as a caregiver and as a supporter can feel your own guilt through always feeling like you're falling short. And I was able to pull through a lot of personal experience in terms of when I'd have discussions with Konstantina, for example, about her character and her need to kind of try everything to resolve her issues, which I think she can speak to as well.
I'd say pulling from personal experiences, it was less embodying kind of the character in the world, was obviously less about like the horror stuff and more about some of the sort of more mental health themes in the story. And I think that anyone who has ever been close to or in a relationship with someone who struggles with depression, struggles with mental health issues, it takes a toll on everyone. It takes a toll on everyone. I think that's something that's very kind of beautiful about this film is the almost like pandemic quality of disease quality of sadness. And I think you feel very sort of like disempowered when you can't help a person who's not doing well, and you love them. And something I relate to the character of Miranda a lot is that I'm kind of a fixer person. I can never kind of sit in my own sadness for too long before I'm like, okay, well, we gotta figure something out. We gotta get out of this thing. And when other people aren't like that, or when you start projecting that onto another person, and you ultimately realize like it's not within your power to help them, that can really take a toll. And that's something I really connected to with Miranda.
Adam, you're kind of on the opposite side. She, your character packs it all inside and is like the lighthearted guy.
Yes, which is very true to life for me, Brad. I like to not deal with pain and
we would have never
sadness.
guessed that.
Yeah. Sadness and pain don't exist, Brad. It's all a figment of our imaginations. So if we all just smile and giggle and have a good time, then we'll all be happy all the time, which is ultimately the goal, right? I think.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, look, it's it is in a weird way like a community of people who all are in pain, but maybe that is a bit of a lesson that there's like you're not alone. Don't assume that you are. There are people that can identify with you. There are people that also feel pain, and even maybe the giggly ones who are positive and optimistic. Maybe they're also a bit in pain too, Brad.
It's very true. Now with this movie, there's the definite sense of an overarching darkness and dread. How did you go about, as you were filming it, kind of setting that scene throughout the film?
Well, I think a lot of it was sort of playing with shadows and trying to kind of frame each shot in a way that is sort of character-driven framing, so that even if someone doesn't necessarily notice it, they feel it, like they can feel the isolation based on the way someone is framed. So that was something in terms of the technical aspects that was important. And in terms of the writing, I think it was just kind of acknowledging that every character in the film, no matter how big or small, had their own way of self-soothing and their own way of struggling with what they were, their own personal Killgrins, what they were dealing with, and making sure every actor was aware of this. And you obviously saw with Brian's character that he's the life of the party, always has to keep himself distracted. And then Konstantina was more of a fixer who needed to constantly look for ways to resolve her issues. So I think that's something that is felt even if it isn't immediately noticed in the film.
I mean, I've noticed this talking to many filmmakers since 2020, when we come out with a lot of films like this, heavier films, like the experiences we went through of just being by ourselves is a huge influence on a lot of this stuff.
There's lots of influences depending on what's happening in the world. I mean, you saw a lot of those torture porn horror movies coming out after the Guantanamo Bay revelations and everything. Like, there's so much connected in our culture and in just the general malaise that influences horror. So it'll be interesting to see what the future of horror looks like.
For all three of you, were there any scenes or shooting days that were a little more harder, whether, technical, emotional, whatever it might be, something that was just kind of tough to get through?
I find it always challenging to play drunk.
So we got him drunk.
Yeah. So Joanna's like, if you're worried about it, let's get hammered. And she got drunk with me. And because she is a supportive director and she wants her actors to feel comfortable. And so it helped. Thanks, Joanna.
We had to reshoot all of it because unfortunately the crew was drunk too, but it was worth it for the preparation.
The camera was swaying and it was like, this isn't going to work.
It's become a very expressionistic film now, I'd probably say, without exposing anything, I guess I'd say there's a scene in the film where I speak to a character who is sort of an older, more of a guide character towards the end. It's just sort of a breaking point for Miranda. It's the sort of ultimate sort of admission and finally honestly kind of admitting the truth of what she's been going through. And that scene was a tough one. It's the sort of culmination. The film is sort of this constant elevation of Miranda's turmoils and traumas. And, it was always a little bit to me like, okay, like, I'm crying again in this scene, but it's got to be more than the last time because because that was earlier in the movie. But by the time we reach kind of the ultimate like sort of climax of admitting that this is not maybe all in my head, or even if it is, the scariness of that, it was sort of tough to grapple with.
Now, with that, was there any, whether it was that moment, anything that really scared you or made the horror in the film feel more real? And this could go for any of you.
Oh, that's a good, maybe loop back to me on that.
I never saw the Killgrin, so I didn't like have that personal visceral moment. It was more like in shadows, eerie, freaky. Interestingly, kind of like in theater or in film, when the subject matter is dark, the off camera and the backstage is very light. So you're not, I mean, all the magic comes from Joanna after the fact. Like, she's creating this amazing mood, and but the amazing mood we had on set was jovial. I think, I don't know, maybe it just was for me, and then that would make sense.
It was very positive. It was very positive set, which is important for the heavy subject matter as well as, the scary subject matter. And I'd say for me, in terms of difficulty from a technical standpoint, there is like a big showdown scene, which those were long days, and they because there were lots of practical and VFX elements simultaneously, and just a lot of moving parts. But it was also just so much fun because it was so challenging, and so that I would say from a technical standpoint was the most challenging.
I guess I would say like making it feel real, making it feel very scary. There's a physical altercation in the scene where how do I not expose anything? There's a scene between myself and Cristo Fernandez, wonderful actor, who there's a physical altercation, and obviously we were practically doing the stunts together and working through what that was going to look like, and then had to go through it, a few times for different angles and all these things. Obviously, it was all done very safely. We had our stunt coordinator and all these things, but no matter how kind of safe you make these things and how careful we are, you're still being physically attacked by another person, in a sense, imaginatively. And that the reality of that, imagining that, getting into that, feeling what that feels like, it was that to me was more scary or more upsetting than any of the monstrous scares and things, because it's easier to kind of step off and kind of laugh a bit at our monster than it is to kind of put yourself in a situation that like many women have been in.
I would agree. It was harder for me as well from behind the camera. It's funny how like monsters ripping people's faces off, I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go again. And then anything between two actual humans and suddenly it's a very different thing.
Your Killgrin, the look of your Killgrin, how did you come about the physical look?
Oh, well, because the Killgrin is based on like a phenomena when someone is in so much emotional pain, it creates an entity of its own. I really wanted it to look like it was in pain. I wanted audiences to see it and fear it and pity it at the same time. And that, so I started kind of, in the script, it was very simple. How I described it, I just was talked about the cuts on its body and teeth and things like that. But then when I started talking to our brilliant creature designer, Adrian Bob, and we just based on that core concept of it looking scary, but also engendering pity at the same time, we were able to really develop a very cool creature, which of course came to life through the Butcher Shop Effects Studio, which made it entirely practical, which was absolutely fantastic. So, and Leland Tilden, the creature actor, who we had to wear a full body suit for hours and hours. Gotta give it to him for sure.
And he got to be on set. And Konstantina, what was your reaction when you first saw all dressed up and right in front of you?
Oh, it was oh my God. Like so Leland, first of all, is like, Joanna, can you remind me how tall he is? Like 6 foot,
6'5" or something, yeah.
Something like he's already like a big guy, and then here is him fully embodied in the suit had many details. To take it all in was, you don't have to act in moments like that. You just gotta take in the sort of monstrous artistry before you.
So what's great about monsters is you're sort of in awe, but also terrified at the same time. And you often see this in actors' performances, and it's probably quite genuine. They probably are terrified, but also in complete awe of just the craft that went into this creature.
And Adam, you were just had a margarita and you were just enjoying the background.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I only saw Leland out of costume with like the Killgrin kind of laid out, sort of like on a table or something. I forget exactly. Or it was like on a hanger. I forget what it was, but it was like he was about to be put into this terrifying thing, and so I only saw it lifeless. So it was much less scary for me. That's why the margarita really went down smooth.
Now, the Killgrin, it comes out April 25th. People can go check it out. Will there be physical release for it afterwards, or what's the future for the Killgrin after it's released to the world?
Sequels, multiple sequels, right, Joanna?
Yes. Killgrin, it really hits its stride at Killgrin 7.
Okay.
That's when skip all the others, go straight to Killgrin 7. That's when it gets its legs. So, and we'll be back here, Brad, to talk about Killgrin 7.
Well, hopefully 2 through 6 as well.
But
Yeah,
Killgrin 7 is when it becomes a musical. So that's the one people really remember.
The musical, yeah, it is musical. Actually, the musical's 2. The detective noir is 3.
Oh, yes, of course.
What is 7? 7 is like the Killgrin is a little boy growing up.
It's the prequel story. We're very excited for the release on April 25th on VOD and in select theaters, and we're also just so grateful. Dark Sky Films is distributing this film, and they've been really remarkable, and they're an iconic genre label, so we're just so happy to be a part of it.
Their one booth, out here in Cincinnati, we have Horror Hound Weekend. Every time I go, I make sure I hit the Dark Sky table.
Hell yeah.
I want to thank the three of you for taking time out of your day to talk to me about the Killgrin. Where can people follow along for the Killgrin to kind of, see what's going on behind the scenes, or with either one of you?
For the Killgrin, I'd say the best way to follow it would be the Dark Sky Films social media channels, in particular Instagram. And for myself, just my name, Joanna Tsanis, on Instagram. It's only Instagram. That's all I have. So, and I'll always be posting about the Killgrin as well. I'll be spamming you about the Killgrin. You don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I'll be sharing all the Killgrin stuff on my Instagram as well. Again, just my name, Konstantina Mantelos.
And Instagram for me, I'm Tseky, Tseky, like the jelly. The Killgrin is going to be really exciting. I guess I'll also be posting stuff about the Killgrin, and also $10 psychic readings if you need them.
He'll do an Instagram live.
Yeah.
Well, thank you three again. I wish you all the best with this movie, and I can't wait, for you to come back for 2 through 7, of course.
Thanks so much, Brad.
Thank you, Brad.
I want to thank those three again for chatting with me. It was so much fun talking to them. I did find out after we chatted, Joanna actually had some short films that have played at Horror Hound here in Cincinnati. One called Smile, and she has some other ones. But I was like, hey, when I was looking up some research for this film, I noticed you did these short films. Did they play at Horror Hound? And they did. And you should definitely go check out her short films. They're really good. But we're not here to talk about those. Those short films can be talked about at another time. We're here to talk about The Killgrin. So this is a movie that deals with Miranda, who deals with this traumatic experience that starts off the movie. She starts going to kind of a group. She meets some people. Adam's character, Brian, is just kind of, he's the fun guy. He's the good guy. He likes to friend, he wants to be friends with people. So what I love about this movie is the different ways each character deals with a traumatic experience. So they're all in this kind of like a self-help, a group to kind of help each other through the things that they're experiencing. So Adam's character is kind of like the jokester. He cracks the jokes kind of by keeping things inside. That's more of what I do. I'm that type of guy. When something happens, I keep it inside and I become more of the jokester. I crack more jokes and just want to be the fun guy, lighthearted, because I don't want to deal with this tough piece. Miranda, Konstantina's character, is really struggling with how to move on, how to go about her life, because her boyfriend at the time, he killed himself. He was struggling, and she comes home and how was today? And he was like, today was a good day and everything else. And she turns her back and he jumps out a window. It is extremely traumatic for her because she saw it happen. She was really feeling guilty for what happened I should have done more. I should have been here, should have done that. So she's trying this group, and then she tries, the unconventional therapy of going to kind of like a spiritual healer who gives advice and at first tries to sell her stuff. She's like, I don't need to buy that. I'm not going to spend any money. And she's like, you'll be back, which she eventually does. And the Killgrin is a creature that feeds off of this. It wants you to be miserable. It wants you to think about these bad things so it can eventually take you. It's a very interesting concept and a very dark concept. It delves into some dark corners, some dark spaces that really kind of make you think. And then you get the creature. The creature design I thought was really good. The Killgrin was great. Was just, I wanted more of it. Let me just say that. I wanted to see more of the monster. That was one of my, not really a complaint, but one part that I was kind of bummed about. I was like, I kind of want to see more of this Killgrin that attaches to people it comes after them, and when it kills you, like it's almost like an upside down. Think opposite of smile. You're smiling down, like you're kind of making this grimace, frown, misery, this awfulness, this face, and then your jaw gets ripped off and you die. So it was interesting how it kind of took a concept like that and kind of flipped it. And instead of, smile, it's a smile that it gets you. This is kind of on the opposite side. But I did want to see more of this monster because the monster looked really cool. Now, I'm not going to give away some other things that happen with the monster and other such stuff that happens towards the end. But yeah, I like the monster. The one thing that I did not like in this movie was there's some AI art that Adam's character, Brian, in his apartment is just covered in posters, like rock posters, but you can tell that they're AI generated, which is unfortunate. And there's so many of them. It was distracting to me in a way. That is the one complaint I have about it was that art that's hanging on the wall. It didn't knock down any score for the film. It just, I don't want to say I hated looking at it, but it just kind of distracted me throughout those moments. So as it dives deeper and deeper without giving anything away, Miranda really is wrestling with this creature, trying to figure things out. And she has an ex played by Cristo Fernandez, who she thinks is doing this, who's coming after her, who is killing these people. And just this spiral of this back and forth in darkness. It's well played out. And this is the feature-length directorial debut for Joanna. And you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing what she does more in the future. I'm all for a Killgrin sequel. More traumatic experiences and more of the creature coming after people. But right now, you can go watch The Killgrin this Friday. I recommend it. You can go see it if it's playing in a theater near you, or rent it at home and go check it out. Well, that's enough of my ramblies on The Killgrin. Of course, I have a double feature for you because I love giving a double feature for this. And I as I thought of it, I was like, I need some more like another traumatic creature or a similar theme type of movie that goes with it. There's a few that I reviewed last year that really dealt with a lot of trauma, like Starve Acre, The Well, Consumed does in a way, I Will Never Leave You Alone. But I feel like this is a kind of theme right now of dealing with loneliness, trauma, how to deal with these different things that I think kind of extend from, all of us in 2020 and quarantines and being locked down, being alone, not being able to be around people or see people. And now we're starting to get a lot of these horror movies out that people have written during that time, just bringing those stories out in ways that they kind of dealt with it, whether it's, I'm going to come up with a creature that helped me deal with it and stuff like that. But the double feature of one that I would watch with this is a movie on Shudder called Oddity. It's also, I believe you can stream it on Hulu, but it's another movie that kind of deals with death, trauma, and different things, except it's this giant wooden doll with this woman whose sister died. She's dealing with a lot of different things going on, and it is another kind of a slow burn that spirals into this darkness that overall is a very enjoyable film. So The Killgrin with Oddity would be my double feature for you this week. Well, that will do it for this chapter of Old Man Brad. Before I head out, I just want to tell you I have more things going on May 16th that you should watch for. I will be taking part in the live stream for The Cure once again this year with my buddy Nick. He has an event that he does every year. This is the 9th year that he's done it. He brings content creators from all over the world to help raise money for cancer research. It is a great event that he does. This will be my 6th or 7th year doing it. But May 16th at 11 p.m. is when I will be live. We will be doing some Tubi games and some reviews and other fun stuff. But May 16th and 17th, tune in to the live stream for The Cure over on Twitch. I'll have the link in the description. I'll also be taking part in the Super Cincy Expo here in Cincinnati, May 16th through the 18th at the Sharonville Convention Center. It's a video game expo. I will be there with my friends. The History of Bad Ideas. We will be playing Family Feud, Jeopardy, Q&As with the guests that will be there. We'll just be having a blast with everybody. But yeah, that weekend is booked for me. Come out to Frightful Fridays. Go watch live stream for The Cure. Donate if you can. And come to the Super Cincy Expo. I will be back soon with a new chapter. Just make sure you subscribe to the show and you'll never miss anything that happens over here at Old Man Brad. Just snuggle up in that blanket. Turn off the lights because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.